Want to go, pretty boy?
Two minutes by yourself and you feel shame, you know, and then you get free.
The only thing better than a glass of beer is tea with Miss McGill.
And welcome to the Fourth Line Voice Podcast. My name is Darren. Thank you very much for tuning in to episode 1, a restart, new beginnings, here in the brand new member of the Hockey Podcast Network. In case everybody's wondered where I've been and what happened and all that nonsense, I will get to that shortly. I will explain everything, so no, this isn't a rerun. Don't hit stop. I will get to an explanation here shortly. But first of all, crazy times out there. I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy, and hopefully we'll get back to normal here soon. But I know it's been tough for everyone, and with the isolation and everything, and hopefully, like I said, we can get back to normal here soon, and to everybody, the frontline workers and the essential services, thank you very much. And like I said, everybody, all the listeners out there, hope everyone is staying safe. And having said that, with the isolation, it's a good time to when you got to fill your day up with something. That hopefully here you will give my show a listen, as well as the other cats on the Hockey Podcast Network. We got the Terry Ryan show, analytics show. All the NHL teams are covered. So, but I will get into that here in a little bit. In terms of, I'm going to break down what happened. Of course, I had my own website, fourthlinevoice.com. It had 44 episodes on it, and I had released the Tristan Grant interview in early February, and went on vacation to Las Vegas. And while I was on vacation, my website crashed, and I got a few messages from people, and I was like, well, when I get back, I'll look into it. No big deal. I'm sure it's whatever. So I got back and got a hold of my friend who had put my site together, and she just said, "Yeah, you got hacked, and it's gone." So, and of course, with my website being the host site, I'm not an IT person, as everybody knows, but I'll try to explain this here in simple terms. But basically, my website was the host site, and then from there, you put in your plugins to all the different platforms, iTunes to Google Play, Spotify, Podbean, wherever it was all on. And, so of course, with the main host being gone, obviously all my interviews and all my episodes were gone, which of course my iTunes was, the profile, you could go to iTunes, my profile was still there, and all the links to all my interviews were there, but if you clicked on them, nothing happened. So of course iTunes eventually canceled my profile, and then it sat dormant. And at that point, it was really frustrating and a real letdown. Like I said, not that I had hundreds of episodes, but still, 44 episodes, and a lot of work had gone into them, and I was proud of the show that I put out and the interviews that I did, and so to have it all wiped out was real frustrating and kind of a real kick in the nuts. So it was at that point I was kind of I was really on the fence about wanting to basically start over and do this all again, because like I said, I'd gained some momentum, and like I said, you have your subscribers on iTunes and everything, and then all of a sudden one day you're gone. So I hope going forward, a lot of the subscribers I'm sure are from Twitter and whatever, but I hope those that aren't on Twitter, we'll find the show again and come back and I think with the help of the guys here at the network, I think we can do that, and I think it's gonna reach a lot more platforms. So whatever you listen to, Spotify or all that stuff, and iTunes or whatever the kids are listening to nowadays, my show will be out there, and I know they're really passionate about growing not only the network but my show as well. So so I signed up. But no, like I was saying though, it was the real, so basically all of March, I was kind of, I didn't know what to do, and I'm kind of, sitting around, and quite honestly, I won't lie, I was really enjoying not chasing players around for interviews and setting things up and just everything that goes with podcasting. So it was sort of like, I could kind of get used to this no podcasting stuff, and in the meantime I had done an interview on the bucket drop with Bobby, and and then did the 5 for Fighting here the other night. But it was it was sort of fun just being a guest, no pressure. But about 8 months ago, I had been on Isha, who runs the Hockey Podcast Network, along with Dylan. He does the Minnesota Wild website or podcast for the network. Like I said, all the teams are represented, and he's doing the Wild. And he asked me to come on and just feeling he had started listening to my show and enjoyed it, and just wanted me to come on and just talk about fighting current hockey or lack thereof. And I just had Riley Emerson on, who at one time was a wild draft pick, and we talked about that. And just it was like 20-minute deal, and it was it was a fun little talk with him. And and before we had gotten going on it, he had kind of mentioned to me that hey, if you ever want to get on a network or something, we just started this out, and we'd really like to have you on. And if you're ever thinking about joining up, let us know. I'd love to have you on. And I was kind of I was flattered that he offered, but at the time I was just kind of whatever. I got my own website, and I'm going okay, and so fast forward to so I went on Twitter, and I told everybody, like, yeah, hey, my site crashed and everything's gone, and sorry, and I kind of left it up in the air. I didn't say I would never do this again, but at the same time, it wasn't like I was just dying and rushing to come back. So at that point, Isha reached out again and offered a place on his network. And at the time, I kind of said, well, I don't really know if I'm going to do this again. I'm sort of up in the air. And of course, with the virus and everything that was going on, I mean, obviously there were and jobs and, working from home, my wife working from home now, and I wasn't sure what I was doing, like working back full time or job share, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, point is there was obviously a lot more pressing things going on in the world than a stupid podcast. But once that kind of got straightened out in the scheduling and kind of, what the new normal was going to be for a while, you kind of figure it out. And, at any rate, I sat down. I got on the phone with Isha and sat down one weekend, Saturday, with him, and just talked over. I listened to his ideas for the show, and he listened to my concerns, and we kind of went back and forth. And the thing that really, and even at that point, I was telling him, it was funny the other night. I was telling him in a private message, just like I said, I'm going to record it and I'll send this to you right away. I was telling them, I said, even up to that phone call, it wasn't like I'm phoning him saying yes. I hadn't really decided yet, but I was going to offer, he had offered, and I felt, obviously out of respect to, call him and, and discuss things and let him know where I was leaning. But through the course of the conversation, we were on the phone for probably about an hour. And like I said, we went around and bounced back and forth, and I just really liked his passion for the project, and he was really excited to get me on. And and like I said, we talked about a number of things, and I expressed my concern about a few issues, and it was a good conversation. And And like I said, and I know Terry Ryan had recently signed up with the network. I think he has 5 or 6 episodes out. And I know Terry, and, so I sent him a text message, and I just said, what's the deal with these cats here? And they're offering me a spot on the network, and what do you think? And he gave a glowing review and said everything that they promised, they've come through, and good dudes, and you go for it, man. It'll be fun. And so that was all I needed to hear. Basically, you got the approval of Terry Ryan, so it was like, if they're doing Terry right, it was like, all right, for sure. And like I said, then I talked to Isha, and the conversation went really great, and I liked his ideas, and he liked mine, and so here we are. So that was all, long story longer. But no, so I think moving forward here, I hope all the, I can get all my old listeners back and create a whole bunch of new ones. And like I told them, I said I will do my best to get out here and hustle and promote the show, and they said they would do the same. And like I said, it's going to be on it's going to be on all the platforms. And he was throwing out like platform I'd never even heard of. We're talking overseas and everything. I was like, wow, okay, well, I don't know how big this will be in Japan, but hey, why not give it a shot? But no, and I think moving forward, I also said going forward, there's with the show, I'm changing a few things up compared to. I mean, not in terms of like player interviews or anything like that. I mean, the show, the whole point of the show is still the same, because like as Isha brought up, I mean, on the network they have all the teams represented. They have Terry's show, the Analytics show, and they really wanted a fighting show. Let's call it what it is, and they had debated back and forth, and I guess my name came up, and they're like, well, he's available. He's just hanging out, sitting there. So let's ask him, and here we are. So I mean, in terms of, and like I made it really clear in the phone call that I'm not changing my show in terms of content and what my message is, and obviously my feelings are the same, so those haven't changed, and I wasn't going to change, and they didn't want me to. So, so in terms, guys, it might be, like I said, it's on a different platform, but it's the same message. So, don't worry, I didn't go corporate on you guys or anything. So, it'll be the same show, but, from a personal standpoint, I think I'm going to, I'm going to concentrate here on basically, how do I put this? Basically shows that I wanted, not that I was forced in my other episodes to, that's not how I don't want it to sound like that. I wasn't forced to interview these people at all. I wanted to interview all the guys that I've interviewed, and I'm proud of all my interviews. But I think sometimes it was just a feeling of the pressure of, I got to get a player, and and like I said, there's so many podcasts nowadays, and there's a few, enforcer podcasts, which, so, and basically, for lack of a better term, we're all sort of fighting over the same sort of pool of guests, right? You have your guys that are on ex-players that are on social media that we all see. So you're all, trying to get them. Plus you have guys that aren't on social media that you try to, through contacts or, whatever you try to find. So everyone's constantly trying to land the big guests, and it can be stressful, and it, and at the same time it was, like I said, anybody that's listened to my show in the past, and I did a whole ranty episode about this. It gets very frustrating at times when you think you have a guest lined up, and they, you've made times and arrangements, and then they ghost you, no show, and then lead you on, and you get ditched a couple times, and that really sort of takes the fun out of the whole thing, and I've always said this is a hobby, and once it stops not being fun, I'm not doing it anymore. Because I said, other than that, I'm pretty fortunate in the fact that I have no stress in my life. I don't have a job. I don't have job stress or marital stress or personal stress or anything. So I said, for a time, the only stress I was having in my life was this stupid podcast. So I always said, you want to get rid of stress in your life, remove the thing that's causing you the stress. So, so I think going forward, I'm definitely going to do, the expectation is an episode every 2 weeks is sort of what we agreed on, and or every weekly. Weekly'd be great, but every 2 weeks was sort of the maximum to go without an episode, and I'm definitely going to try to live up to that. It's certainly not that I don't want to, but weekly's a little tough. But I also told Isha, I said, I mean, I could do a podcast daily if you wanted me to. I could hit record and just rant away every day on something or tell a story or whatever about hockey. I have a million of those, but I'm pretty sure in terms of listenership and stuff, I think people get a little tired pretty quick of my solo ranting. So I will definitely still do the player interviews. I don't know about how many. I know there is a bunch of fellow fans that I do want to interview coming up. I know at the very least, I think definitely my first guest will be Steve from whenProvert.com, and he had recently, I know he had done, it's a few months ago now, but on his website, I suggest everyone go to it. He put out his top 25 fighters of all time, and not only is it really great writing, but he includes video and pictures, and it is like intense how deep he went in the article. And like I said, top 25. I mean, I have a hard time doing top 5, let alone 25. And I know he put it out on Twitter and everything, and it was controversy, right? There was a lot of people debating and arguing, and it was really cool. And I at the time I said, well, when I get back from vacation here, we'll get you on, and I want to talk about this. Well, of course, everything happens. So I know one of my very first episodes here on the new podcast will be to get Steve on, and we'll break down his 25 and his logic for it, and I think it'll be a really fun discussion. And I know anytime you sort of do lists, that's sort of a big I know that's a popular topic, so I think that'd be really cool. And there are a few players that I've talked to. I haven't really reached out to anyone lately because, like I said, I didn't think I would be doing this again, so I didn't really need to track down players. But I had a few players that were sort of in the wings when I went on vacation. I'm like, okay, boys, when I get back, we'll hook something up and whatever. So of course I had to get a hold of them and like, yeah, okay, this is what happened, and we'll see, maybe not, maybe, but I'll reach out and kind of reconnect with them, and hopefully we can. We'll definitely have some player interviews coming, and yeah. So I mean, in terms of you guys listening, it'll just be right where we pick. Right, I'll pick up right where I left off. I mean, like I said, I'm not changing, and they didn't want me to change. So, like I said, all it'll be is just on a bigger platform, and hopefully we can get the show growing, and just really get a whole bunch of views and or listens, I guess, in this case, to the show. But yeah, so that's where we're at. So here we are. So the other thing that Isha and I had come up with was my main thing was I couldn't stress this enough, is regardless of what I was going to do with the show, I was really interested in, at the very least, getting re-uploading all my player interviews that I had done, because I think I felt I owed it to the guys, and like I said, I'm proud of the interviews. I'll put those interviews up against any show, Spit and Chicklets, any of them. I will put up any interview I've done against theirs. They're in depth. I think I turned over every stone. And I mean, if you wanted to get the history of a player, I think those episodes do it. And we got great stories from the guys, and some obviously some very funny stories, and some holy shit stories, and it was lots of fun talking to every guy that I've had on. I've enjoyed, and I think you guys will too. If you're new to you didn't listen to my old show, or even if you did and you missed, you didn't listen to every episode, I really hope that you guys check out the re-uploads of the episodes. And like I said, from John Morasti to Steve McIntyre, Joey Tedorenko, Clark Wilm, on and on. And like I said, every player I interviewed, I will get back up there. So, like I said, if you haven't listened to them, if you didn't listen to them the first time around, here's your chance to do it when I put them up. And I told Isha, I said, what would be kind of really cool, I think, is every Wednesday, I think, is sort of the set time of when my show is going to be released, my new episodes. So each Wednesday, there'll be a new episode, and then on Sunday, it'll be kind of like an open the vault. Here's a re-release of player interview, such and such. And I haven't actually gone back and counted how many player interviews I did. I had 44 total episodes, but of course there was like fan interviews and rants, solo episodes, but I don't know how many player interviews I had, about 20, I think, 25. So I think each Sunday here for the next, for the foreseeable future anyway, we'll have the re-release of the player interviews. So I'm really, really looking forward to that, and I think that'll be really cool. And like I said, it'll give people a chance to kind of either re-listen or hear it. It's new to you, right? It might have been recorded, and I mean and that's the thing with the episodes. All the guys are retired, so it's nothing that's like time sensitive or at that moment. So it's sort of an ageless type of interview. So I think that'll be really cool. So again, for everybody listening out there and the new listeners, I recommend that you definitely check out some interviews. I'm not sure, haven't decided who the first re-release is going to be. I don't know, or maybe I should go in order from. I don't know what I'm going to do, but it'll definitely be a re-release on each Sunday. So, yeah, so that was one of the ideas that we had come up with, and like I said, we had discussed, and I had talked about this in my other. I've been talking about this for a while. I discussed about merchandise coming out. I think I have some pretty cool T-shirt designs and. Or logos anyway. I guess at this point you could slap them on everything really. But we talked about that, and they have a sort of a distributor, so I think I might sit down with that guy and throw out a few ideas and see what the what the price point could be. Like I said, I don't want to gouge people, but at the same time, I don't want to give this I'm not going to give this stuff away. So all that being said, I think I'm really looking forward to being a part of the Hockey Podcast Network, and like I said, Isha and Dylan's enthusiasm and the respect they've shown me, I greatly appreciate it. And like I said, I told them, and I've said this, and it's true. I've not blown smoke. It was I was quite. It was flattering that they thought enough of me to ask when the topic came up about creating new content for the site, and so it was cool. It's always a nice feeling to be wanted, right? So it was like I said, so going forward, I'm gonna, like I said, all my interviews, I'm still gonna stay true to it, and I will research my ass off and try to give you guys, the listeners, the the player the respect that they've deserved and they've earned. And like I said, I've listened to lots of podcasts, and there are some good ones out there, and there's some shitty ones out there. And I've heard player interviews where they're interviewing a guy they don't even know where he played junior, and it's just like, come on, And to me, that's just so disrespectful. Like I said, you don't have to know every minute detail of a guy's career. I get it. I get that. I mean, none of us have that, but where he played junior, really? Come on, guys. It's a hockey DB. Come on. That's the bare minimum, really. So it's, like I said, I understand Spittin' Chiglets and Cam Janssens and John Scott and all those guys. I mean, they're the big boys, and and they get, tens and hundreds of thousands of listens, and I'm not certainly, in their league or trying to compare my show to theirs, but I'm, and like I said, I don't mean it to sound arrogant, but like I said, I'm very proud of the player interviews I've done, and I mean, they're far more in depth and much hours longer than the Spittin' Chiglets interviews are. I mean, it's and like I said, it's a completely different animal. Plus, with those guys, it's like, I mean, it's either an ex-teammate or they're friends or they know people, so you get inside, little player banter inside, kind of a locker room thing, and which is cool. I mean, I dig the show. I like Biz and those guys. I talk to them. They're good dudes. I'm not trying to despair, like knock their show. I certainly wouldn't do that. But at the same time, I think a lot of the smaller podcasts like myself, or, whatever, Five for Fighting, or William over at the Biscuit, or, the Coliseum, Joe over the Coliseum Chronicles. I mean, we have a fraction of the listens, and to me, that's a real shame. At the same time, I understand there's only so much time in the day for people to listen to stuff. I get it. And, but at the same time, I really hope that people stay loyal and give us all a shot, and and let the quality of work be the reason that you listen, not because it's some famous ex-player or a famous current player. I mean, everybody can. I've heard some Spittin' Chiglets interviews. Everybody goes on and on how great it was, and it's like, seriously, that's like listening to a wheel of cheese talk. Like, that was entertaining to you? Like, it was boring as shit, so that gets frustrating when you think you put out a really cool product where the guy tells some really good stories, and it's because he didn't play 8 years in the NHL where nobody's going to listen to it, and it's really frustrating at times because it's like, I don't care if it's not about me, it's about listening to that player get their story, and if it's like, well, I'm not going to listen because I don't know who that is, well, don't worry about it. I mean, tune in anyway, because trust me, everyone has a story to tell, and it's a unique story, and they'll mention someone, believe me, but I think even if you don't know a guy, by the end of the interview, you'll know him. And I think you'll really enjoy it. So going forward, if you're new, like I said, if you're new to what I do, and you're maybe a younger fan or a fan that didn't follow junior and minors, because like I said, not all my guys played in the NHL or played wherever. I'll get junior guys on, ex minor league players. Like I said, all the boys have stories. So trust me and like I said, it's called the Fourth Line Voice for a reason. I'm not going to have I don't have the 50 goal scorers on. That ain't my thing. It's I want to shine a light on the forgotten player, fourth liner, and so that's what this show is going to be all about, or what it was all about, and is forever going to be about. And but I encourage you, everyone, to have a listen. But no, other than that, guys, I don't have too much more to say, outside of some assorted ramblings. I did bring up completely, if anybody, there's a, pardon me, I'm also a big, it's funny, I'm also, from a little kid, a big pro wrestling fan, and there is a documentary series out called Dark Side of the Ring. And they're in their second season. It's on Vice TV, but you can get it on YouTube. Check it out. And it's cool. They have every week, every Tuesday, they have a new episode of about 40 minutes, and it's a documentary on some incident that happened in pro wrestling. Of course, they had the Chris Benoit tragedy, and then they had a story about Macho Man and Jimmy Snuka's murder trial, and they're really well done. I really enjoy them. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But the last episode was of Dino Bravo, who was a wrestler for years, but he was from Montreal, and he was a big deal in Quebec before going to the WWF back in the 80s and stuff. And he was, like I said, he was massively popular in Montreal at the time. Anyways, but he got murdered by the mob and blah blah blah. But anyway, in the telling of his story last week, there was a story came up by Jacques Rougeau told it. For any of you old 80s WWF fans, he was the Mountie, and he was also, of course, with the tag team of the Rougeau brothers, and another famous Quebec wrestler, and he was in the WWF for a few years. But anyway, he tells a story about how he got drunk at a bar in Montreal and ended up running into a bunch of Quebec Nordique hockey players. And he mouthed off that, you chicken shits or you candy-ass hockey players or whatever. And apparently this one player took exception to it and kind of like shoved him down or slapped him around, but I guess because he was super drunk and whatever. And then Dino Bravo came in and told the guy, hey, he's had enough, back off or whatever. And Dino Bravo at the time was legitimately one of the strongest, not only wrestlers in the world, but strongest humans in the world. Like, he had a bench press record, and like, the guy was massive. I mean, he's short. I think he was only like 6 feet, but he's like, as wide as he was tall. Like, so anyway, so this guy like kind of shoved Bravo and kind of told him where to go. You wrestlers. Well, apparently Bravo grabbed him by the hair, gave him a couple, dragged him outside, proceeded to bounce his head off his own car, which was a real expensive Corvette or something. Bounced his head off the hood a few times and just ended up just chucking this guy around. Well, of course, that sparked massive, because he never said the guy's name on the show. So, of course, that sparked massive controversy, and all these hockey fans were hitting the internet and trying to ask. Everybody was asking questions about who was it and had you heard. And I asked a few guys that from former players, Max Mittendorf and them that played for the Nordiques. I'm like, because that was the problem. I didn't know what the date of it was, but I kind of asked, hey, did you ever hear about this? And they hadn't or whatever. But through apparently even CM Punk, the famous wrestler, was on Twitter calling bullshit on the story. But eventually, Jacques Rougeau was getting so many questions, like, well, who was it? Who was it? That he finally admitted who it was the other day. And I've never heard of this, but his name is Serge Vernier. And he played in he played with the Flyers and stuff, and then he was in the WHA with the Quebec Nordiques. He's a big goal scorer with the Nordiques. He wasn't a fighter or anything, but actually quite a talented player. But yeah, so Serge Bernier was the player that Dino Bravo was a Nordiques player that Dino Bravo threw all over the bar, in case if anybody out there was wondering who it was, or if you had heard this story, but that's who it was. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. But and also on a personal note, Zoltan, if you're listening, like I already said to you, I was telling him, unfortunately, we were doing a trade, an old Fight DVD trade, and he lives in Slovakia. So I went to the post office on Monday to send him his stuff, and I was told that Canada Post is not delivering there right now. So, which is really weird though, because he mailed them to me. They had no problem. They're coming here. He sent his DVDs. So I don't know what the deal was. I don't know if it was just a worker there or what. But apparently Canada Post isn't or sending mail to Slovakia right now. So Zoltan, you're gonna have to wait, unfortunately. But everybody listening is like, who gives a shit? But no, other than that, like I said, this for episode 1, I just wanted to let you guys know what was going on and what's going to happen with the show going forward. And other than that, I hope everybody, could you check out the, like I said, the Bucket Drop podcast with Bobby. I was a guest on his show. That was a few weeks ago now. Had a lot of fun talking to him, and he's kind of getting going. And was just on with Alec and Dr. Chris there last night on the Five for Fighting show. So he'll be releasing that. And he actually just released an episode with Rob Ray that should be pretty cool. And like I said, between him, Joe over the Coliseum Chronicles doing good stuff, Bucket Drop, and then you got the Slewfoot show, and Get the Gate podcast and all that, and William over at the Biscuit, and Obey the Puck show with Dan and Paul and Kelly. I mean, lots of good stuff to listen to. And like I said, I guess that's what I was saying to somebody. I said, well, my timing couldn't have been worse. I said, my episode crashes right when everyone's basically locked up at home and has nothing but time to listen to podcasts, and players have nothing but time to give interviews. My website decides to crash. I said, that's perfect timing. But no, going forward here, I'll start shaking the bushes again and sending out messages and and trying to track down some cats to come on the show. Like I said, we're back at it. So other than that, guys, for the first episode, like I said, I'll keep it short here, but I just wanted to come on and let you know what was happening and where I've been and why I was gone for so long. Like I said, I was never really great at being consistent to begin with, but yeah, I'd like to think I know I never took 2 months between shows. So the only thing that actually, like I said, that really kind of irked me about the whole thing was all I'm doing air quotes, but I had a good number of subscribers on iTunes. So like I said, hopefully those guys will find the show again. So for the folks out there that if you're listening to this episode, could we start? If you're listening to iTunes, could you rate and review the show? Because that will help me out in the rankings, and sort of when people search other hockey podcasts, mine will come up with the more reviews I have. So. Could you please do that? Like I always say, you're going there to download it anyway. Could you just click on the stars? That would help me out immensely. But other than that, or just go right to the Hockey Podcast Network. Download it from the boys. Like I said, I think it helps the network out, and and like I said, they have advertisers and everything. So, like I said, that just that helps everybody. And support so I always say support the little guys, right? The big guys, they get the massive Rolodex and all the cool advertisers and everything. I mean, but us little guys, we're all fighting for airtime. So anytime you could, like I always say, shop local. Well, support small podcasting. But no, thank you guys very much for tuning in, and I also like to thank everybody on Twitter that reached out and. Told me how much they enjoyed the show and they hope I come back, or if I don't come back, they thank you for doing the interviews that you did, and like I said, and it wasn't just a couple guys, it was numerous people that sent messages, and to those guys, I appreciate that. Then I replied to all of you, but honestly and from the heart, I greatly appreciate when people reach out. And it happened throughout the time I had the show on. Every once in a while you get a message, and somebody would, tell you how much they enjoyed the episode, and and it was really cool, because I've always said sometimes it's, I sit here and hit record and stare out my window and kind of yammer away, and you always sort of wonder if anybody's actually listening, or is it just sort of going out to the abyss, right? So when you can get feedback like that, and you realize that people are listening, it's cool, and it's very much appreciated that with the messages, and like I said, Fourth Line Voice on Twitter. If you're not on Twitter, honestly, just join up. It's cool. I put up old fight videos, old pictures, and hockey Twitter. Believe me, I can't stand hockey Twitter for the most part, but I have lots of cool followers that post some cool stuff. And within our little kind of fight community, whatever you want to call it, there's some really good dudes. And like I said, if you're an old fan, and you're just sort of even if you're still a hockey fan, but you like the old time better or whatever, or if you're a disenchanted fan and, like myself and numerous followers, this is sort of the place to rant about it and to share the memories of the good old days. So I highly recommend joining Twitter, and like I said, Fourth Line Voice on Twitter. Hit me up and let me know, and it's cool. And other than that, like I said, the YouTube account's still going strong. Again, Fourth Line Voice on YouTube. I got about 2,000 some videos up there now, and the site's been really growing lately. Almost 2,000 subscribers, and I try to put up new content each week. A few fights here and there. Like I said, I got a whole bunch of DVDs that just came, and I have a whole bunch more coming. So I'll definitely do my best to kind of go through them and throw up just some cool fights from many years ago. But like I said, go check it out. Got every league you can imagine, Junior A to Western Hockey League to OHL, NHL, minor leagues, doesn't matter. Just do the little search thing if you want. Type in whatever you're looking for, it'll all come up. Like I said, and I always try to find kind of unique stuff where, like Colton Lawrence with Current, or Scott Parker when he was in Kelowna, or, the guys when they were in the minors, you can go on YouTube and all their NHL fights are there. You can see all that. But, I think it's cool when you can see them when they're first coming up and, as teenagers or in the minors, battling it out. I always, if I have some cool footage, I'll definitely put it up there. One of the latest fights that I put up that actually has gotten a lot of views and created quite a stir was the infamous Tony Twist TKO of Link Gates in the minors. No one had ever seen that footage before, and I had lost it, and I finally got it back. And it was from the IHL, and Tony Twist years ago in the Stan Fischler Bad Boys books, number 2, I believe, in his interview, had talked about Link Gates had really given it to Tony Twist in junior in Saskatoon. And that video is out there. In fact, it's on my channel, and Gates just pumps him, which Twist talks about in the book. And then he said in the IHL he was finally able to get his rematch and his revenge by dropping Link. But no one had ever seen that fight before, and it was sort of in our little fight world community. It was one of those holy grail type footage that we all search for. Well, I was able to track a cat down that had it, and was able to get it from him, and put it, son of a bitch, there it is. It's true. It's exactly like how Twist described it too. But at the time when I didn't have a YouTube account at that time. This was years ago that I'd gotten it. And a friend wanted it because he was putting together a Link DVD, and I mailed it to him. And I don't know what I did with at any rate, it was lost. I don't know what happened to it. And he was busy moving and coaching and blah, blah, blah. So needless to say. And then so I asked him to send it. He finally found it, and he sent it back to me. Well, of course, Canada Post loses my mail. I'm like, oh, are you kidding? This fight is just cursed. I'm never going to get this back. But I finally emailed it again. I got it back, and I put it up on, as soon as I got it, threw the DVD and found it, put it on the YouTube page, threw it out on Twitter, and it instantly blew up. And and it was the fight, like I said, that a lot of us old fans had read about and never seen. And like I said, Tony Twist and Link Gates, two famous cats there. So it was cool to be able to finally track that footage down and get it out to the people. So yeah, but at any rate, just stuff like that is on the channel, and I encourage everybody to go check it out and subscribe, and And like I said, I will try to definitely each week, I'll put up, just try to put up some unique stuff. But other than that, there we go, guys. Episode 1 is in the book for the Hockey Podcast Network. Like I said, coming up here on, this will be out on, I'm recording on Saturday, but this will be released on Wednesday. So the Sunday coming up here, as you're listening to this, my re-release of a player interview will be out, and I haven't decided who it's going to be yet, but I'll hit you with a good one. And if you, I encourage you to check it out, and I hope you, like I said, I know there's a ton of hockey podcasts out there, but I like to think I'm unique. Like I said, even though there's some other fight podcasts out there, and I'm not knocking any of those guys, we all do it different, and I'm not saying mine's better or worse, but we're all doing it different. So it's all a unique take. Like I said, all of us could interview the same guy, and each show would be different. So, which I think is really cool for the listener. So, but all of us, like I said, I get along with all the guys, but it's at the same time, there's some friendly competition, and we all want to get your listens and your downloads, and so that's what I'm here to do. And like I said, I will definitely do my best to bring you the most comprehensive and best product I can, and it'll definitely be researched, I'll tell you that. So I hope you guys stick with me. But all right, we'll wrap it up here at the 40-minute mark. But thank you guys very much for tuning in to the new old show, the Fourth Line Voice, and we will we're back on track, we're rolling, and I think I got a really good team behind me and backing me this time, and I look forward to bringing you guys new content, and we'll grow this thing. All right, guys. So in the meantime, like I said, everyone stay safe and healthy, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, guys. Thank you.
And you people that don't like fighting, how many of you did you walk out and get a coffee while that was on?